Well, hey guys, how you guys doing today? Welcome back to stream. Welcome back into a new stream. How you guys doing? Welcome. I managed to build up the courage and come back to Vivi. You know what? Honestly, as I was looking through the deck again, I was actually like, I was kind of feeling it again. You know, like this is gonna be like one of those love-hate relationships, you know, with the Vivi deck, where it's like, ooh, there's so many new toys. In fact, I've actually since coming back to this deck, because I wanted to make the video, like, as you know, last stream I was talking about what am I gonna do for a card game. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna come back to Vivi. Like, I've had Vivi kind of sitting in hypersleep for the past 2 months, like past month or two, and it's probably still gonna be in, like, you know, in hibernation until we get set 8, I believe, or set 9, the one with Marco in it, because truthfully, you know, the new Marco leader is just straight up just going to be better for what this is trying to do. However, you know, looking back at the list, trying to refamiliarize myself with the deck, it's growing on me. I like this list. I do like the leader. But I've already started tinkering with it a little bit more. Like, I already want to come back to it and build it more like a red purple law deck. So right now it's just a Whitebeard deck. It's like Marco future proofing deck, which is, it's doing okay. But I'll go ahead and just kind of show you what I have. This stream is probably going to be a little bit shorter because we've actually seen a good chunk of these cards. And I don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot to mention nowadays. There we go. And then I already, thankfully, I actually organized the deck ahead of time. It's a little later in the day, so, you know, I got the interior lights on, so we're gonna get some weird reflections around here because I have the overhead lamp. But yeah, in case it's been a while, so chances are you probably just need a quick refresher of Vivi. Get a quick look at her. Right now, like, in the story of One Piece, Vivi's, well, thankfully we now know what's going on with Vivi. I think last time I was talking about this deck, I don't think we fully knew what was going on with Vivi. Now we know what's going on with Vivi, so I'm pretty happy about that. Well, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but yeah, we do get a continuation of her story, thankfully. But yeah, this is Vivi, 5 cost life, or 5k leader. Super irrelevant with this leader. 5 life, 2 colors. It's red blue. I had to quickly think about the colors again, and I'll go ahead and read it. It's this leader cannot attack. One of the main reasons why people don't like playing with this leader is because leaders that can't attack are really just almost not worth running, or are really not worth running, honestly. This is definitely, like, if you want to just play the game on like ultra hard difficulty or something. And especially nowadays with the meta, the way the meta is, you really can't afford to have like one less attacker or one less blocker, or, you know what I mean. You need that extra body with your leader. But let's see. So activate main once per turn, tap 2 Dawn, pay 2. So you're paying 2 Dawn, draw 1 card and give up to one of your characters rush during this turn. So that's the main reason why this leader is it's one of the main draws that it's one of the main things that drew me to this leader, was the fact that you could give your characters rush and you can draw a card. I feel like when this first dropped, I honestly thought this was going to be busted. Like, we're talking like, oh man, I honestly thought this was going to be way better than it actually ended up being. And unfortunately, that's that's definitely not what happened here. You know, it really did show that, you know, even if you give a lead, you could give this leader 8 life. The fact that it can't attack, it really doesn't feel like it could help. Maybe 8 life would help it, but just not letting someone attack is rough. So I'm gonna show you the deck. The deck is updated from the last time I've shown you the deck. I played it a handful of times. I haven't gotten wins with it. It really is just kind of like, it's kind of like if your opponent gets a bad hand, you probably got a good chance of winning. If your opponent just has dead draws, or it just isn't very, if you're playing against somebody new, I think you have a very high chance of winning that game. And I'll kind of leave it at that. So we're gonna look at the first ones. I know I'm ragging on this leader pretty hard, but it's just that I've been burnt by this leader so much. I feel almost liberated, you know, trashing this on this leader. It feels, it's like what's a good way of explaining it? It's like it's a bittersweetness to it. Like I feel like, I don't know, the words are escaping me how I feel about this, because honestly, like I've lost so many games. I've lost so many good games with this leader, and it's just it's so hard. So I feel somewhat justified shitting on the leader. Honestly, I think realistically, I think it's okay. I think the leader's fine. I'm gonna stop ragging on it, and I'm gonna talk about what currently is in the 50. What's in my deck. Keep in mind, this is sort of built as future proofing. So I'm building with this, you know, I'm keeping in mind that I want to play the marker leader in the future. So that's why the deck is built the way it is. So in case some of these cards seem weird to you, that's why. And in fact, I mean, even the cards in here still work with Vivi. So our first one drop is going to be our Ezo. Ezo is the Whitebeard Searcher. So it's the 1 cost 2k, 1k counter. Fine. It's our Searcher. So on play, look at top 5 cards, reveal a Whitebeard power type card, put it into your hand, and then put the other 4 in the bottom of your deck. That's pretty bog standard leader kind of stuff you expect, or Searcher you expect. I'm running 4. There's a lot of Whitebeard cards in here, so originally I wasn't gonna build it with that in mind. However, like as the deck kind of evolved, it kind of just added more and more Whitebeard cards into it until eventually it was mostly Whitebeard deck. It was mostly a Whitebeard deck, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna future-proof it. I'm gonna just let it kind of be what it is. So our next one is one that we've already seen in the previous list. It migrated with the new list. It's Otama. Otama, an amazing 2k counter. It's a 1-drop 2k counter, 0 body or 0 power. That's fine. It's really only doing one thing on the board, and its on play ability is give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2k power during this turn. So really, this is mostly like if you're gonna play it on the field, you're trying to combo it with it. So again, red purple wall. Loves seeing stuff like this where low cost stuff, you're trying to get it out, and you're trying to reduce your opponent's power. However, red purple law is bottom decking stuff versus what this deck is trying to do. It's trying to KO stuff. So arguably not as strong of a strategy in here, but again, 2k counter, power reducer. It's a great thing to have. And then now we move on to our next one, our 2 cost. Not too much of a surprise. Again, another card that got migrated over was Sanji. Again, I think with Vivi, Sanji is very justified to have in the list at 4, just because what Sanji does is other than being a 2k power, and I don't have any way to search straw hats, but it is a straw hat, which is a relevant type in the game. But it is activate main once per turn. You may add 1 card from the top of your life to your hand. This character gains 2k power during this turn, then give this character 2 Rest of Dawn. So on your turn, if you're going first, if you're taking the odd, if you're on the odd curve going first, you can either use your Vivi ability to draw a card, or you can throw down a Sanji, take a life, and no, that wouldn't make sense. You would have to do this on turn 2, on your 4 Dawn turn. Yeah, that makes sense. So turn 1 you draw, turn 2 you play, use your Vivi ability to draw and give this haste, and then use its ability to take a life card and then attack in for 7k, which very strong, fun little combo, very strong, because you can either you're going to pull cards out of your opponent's hand, which is what normally happens, or you're going to take a life, which is never a bad thing. You know, this deck really needs every advantage it can take, so things like that really help the strategy. And then another card that got migrated was Shaka. Shaka, I think, regardless of whatever build you're doing with Vivi, I feel like Shaka should be in your list at some point. Whether it's going to be at 4 or at 3, I recommend it at least 3. But 4, you know, this card's only going to be good in this list or with this leader. And it's an incredibly strong card. It has such a strong ability. I'm glad that it's kind of leader locked, because if this was allowed to just run rampant, I think this would be like a staple in almost every red deck if it was just allowed to be put into any deck. But I'll read why. So it's a 3 cost 5k 0 counter. Okay, vanilla stats, but we do have an effect. So if you attach it onto this, when attacking, if your leader is Vivi, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3k power during this turn, then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a power of 0 or less. So this is playing into the strategy we're trying to do, where we're trying to get our Otamas, we're trying to throw down Otamas, we're trying to reduce cost even more, then we're trying to KO that stuff. So you can hit, I believe, like a 5k power. You can hit 5k power with this. So normally 5k power is you're looking between 4 costs to 5 costs, about around that cost area. So this can hit pretty well. This can hit stuff above its grade, so that's always nice to have. And yeah, there you go. And plus it's also just a big body. Like you have to, you're giving it a Don, so you're making it a 6k body. So you're making a decent sized body, then you're KOing something or reducing something's power. That's pretty good. I don't think this is like bad in the deck, especially if you're playing Vivi. That's another one where I think you should include it into the list. The next one is probably like where things started to like shift over to Whitebeard, because I added the blocker Marco, the 4-cost blocker Marco, just because I wanted a blocker that was more resilient than the average blocker. There is one other card that is a slightly better blocker, but this one's able to recur itself, so I thought, why not? I need bodies that can come back from the dead, essentially. Actually, what would be great in this? Okay, here comes the brainworms again. We're talking about the warlord, the 7 warlords of the sea. I would love to see if this could work with the 7 warlords of the sea package. That would be very fun to see, even with just like the Gecko Moria, just the 4-drop Gecko Moria, and then like something else to go with it. I think could be pretty interesting in this list, because this really needs like resilience. This needs like ways to recur things back. And this was kind of like my only answer to that. So it's a 4-cost 5k body, 1k counter, and it's a blocker, as we talked about earlier. And on KO, you may trash 1 card with the type including Whitebeard Pirates from its name or from your hand. If you have 2 or less life cards, play this card from your trash rested. So ideally, if this gets KO'd, if you're at 2 life, which, you know, you're at 5 life, but you will get down to 2 life pretty quick. Trust me, your opponent will help you. Will be more than happy to help you to get to 2 life. That is not an issue for them. So yeah, this will come on later, like later in the game. This will start turning on, and then you'll start to, you know, discard your Whitebeard Pirate cards to bring this back. And I think arguably that's work, especially if you have Ezos, because we're running so many Ezos. Ezo's a great discard fodder for Marco, so that ended up working out really well. I think it does have some resistance. It's still doing pretty good in the few matches I played. It has handled itself pretty well. The next card we're running Jozu. Jozu's our 2k counter for Whitebeards. That's basically all it's doing here. It's a 4-cost 4k 2k counter. Jozu does have an ability, but it's not relevant here. Basically, I believe if you attach it on, if you have 2 or less life, and if your leader includes the Whitebeard Pirates typing, it gains rush, which would be nice if it was not leader locked, but it's leader locked. So it's either a 2k counter or, at worst case scenario, discard fodder for your Marco blocker. And again, I'm running that at 4. And then our next one was, I believe, in the original list. I believe this was in the original list, and I've just migrated it, and it's the 5k attacking block Marco. So it's our 5k Marco, 5 cost 6k body, 1k counter. Still really good. It's still a great card to play. It's still managed even with the new set that came out in Japan. I believe it's set 9. Pretty sure set 8 or 9. No, yeah, I think it's set 8. I'm losing my mind here. I'm forgetting what sets are coming out, or what sets are out. But yeah, so this is the Marco. It does on your turn, on play, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3k power or less. So again, it's comboing with a lot of our creatures over here. And then on KO, you may trash 1 event card from your hand. You may play this card from your trash rested. So again, resilience. We're bringing back an attacker that can, you know, an attacker that gets KO'd can come back to the field. That's great for a leader that can't attack. Also being able to KO as you play this card, being able to KO something that you've managed to reduce with your Chaka. or with your Otama, or a combination of the two, you're hitting pretty big bodies with this. So what are we talking? We're talking like, let's see. So if we're reducing something by 5, 6, 7, 8, so we can potentially hit an 8K body with this. So we're hitting like what, 7 drops? We're hitting 7 or 8 drops roughly, which that's great. If we can play both cards and then play this, so that's what, 3, 4 extra Dawn. So that's kind of like, no, 3, yeah, 4, 5, 9. That's 9 Dawn. That's a 9 Dawn turn. So if you play your Otama, you play your Chaka, then you play your Marco, that's 9 Dawn. You're committing to KOing a potentially 8 drop or a 7 drop. That's okay. That's fine. We do have other cards in here that can deal with bodies without so much, you know, finagling. But Marco is just a great thing to come back to. Like a great body that recurs itself. Just like the blocker. Speaking of blockers, we have our 5 drop 6K body. We're just running 2 of these guys. We're running 2 X-Drakes. It's a 1K counter. This is mostly just to hit my curve. It could really be replaced with any 5 drop blocker if you want. If you find something better to take its place, I would recommend it, because we're not really utilizing its effect that great. So it's I believe this also got migrated over from the other list, but I've definitely dropped it down to 2. I think I was running it at 4 or 3, and I've dropped it to 2, just because like I still need the blockers in deck, but I don't need this effect necessarily. So, and it's still a pretty big body. So it's 5K or 5 cost, 6K, 1K counter. It has blocker, and then on play, look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck and place them at the top or bottom of your deck in any order. So this lets you scry 5, you know, decide kind of what you want to see. Like, you know, either you can choose to bottom deck those 5, or, you know, arrange them into a way you like. It is a good effect, but we're not really utilizing it too great. Like, it could be better used in like something with Sanji in it, like the 9 drop Sanji, but it's okay. It's a good body, and it's a blocker body. Our next thing is our Porcus D Ace, our 7 drop Ace. We're running at 4. These are actually pretty cool. I've actually really enjoyed running Ace in the list. I originally had it at like, well, before I didn't have it at all, and then I got it at 2. Then I was like, okay, I like this. I'm gonna get the extra 2 and start seeing if I want to add more. So I got the extra 2. I started putting it at 3, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna run it at 4, because it's always nice to have, even though you don't get the rush ability off. Being able to reduce the power of 2 of your opponent's creatures is pretty good. Like, it makes your other bodies swing into stuff easier, and you can potentially manage to like KO a body that your opponent wasn't expecting to get KO'd. So it's actually done pretty well. Let me go ahead and read it so you know what I'm talking about. So it's 7 cost, 7K, 0 counter. Originally that was the reason why I wasn't so high on it, because it didn't have counter and was such a low body, and its main ability really I didn't get its full effect, but I've actually learned to really like it here. So it's on play. On play, it is give up to 2 of your opponent's characters minus 3K power during this turn. Then, if your leader includes the Whitebeard Pirates, this character gains rush during this turn. So that's awesome. The first ability is good enough to run at 4, I think. I think in a list like this where you're trying to KO stuff, I think running this at 4 is fantastic. And then, you know, obviously getting rush would be nice, but, you know, we don't have access to that. That's fine. Our leader is able to give Ace rush, which is fine. So if we really need the rush, we can do it at 7, 8, not at 9 Dawn. Oof. I don't know if I would give this at 9 Dawn. I would give this rush at 9 Dawn. I would rather be doing other stuff with my Dawn. Speaking of which, we're gonna start getting into our top end. So this is what I really like Aramaki in this list. With a Vivi, I think Aramaki is actually like a great card, super good. And then at 8 cost, 8K, you guys, honestly, I don't think anyone's really seen this card or talked about it, just because like even the alt was super cheap. I was like a $6 alt, which is very rare in the One Piece game. Keep in mind, like alts tend to be like 10 to 20 bucks plus easily. So getting these 2 at $6, that was pretty sweet. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna see if I can make this work. And I mean, honestly, in this list specific, like with this leader specifically, I think this has hope. Aramaki has hope. So it's a blocker, which is very good for a leader that can't attack. Being able to block most things is good. And then activate main. Once per turn, you may trash one card from your hand and place one character with a cost of 2 or less to the bottom of its owner's deck. So that's fine. Place one character with a cost of 2 less to the bottom of its owner's deck. I'm just making sure if that's opponents, or I believe you can target your opponent's cards. I believe this could target your opponent's card because it's not saying your 2 cost. This character gains 3k power during this turn. So this is what I love about this, is that when you have Vivi out on your 10 Dawn turn, you play your Aramaki, you activate your Vivi ability for 2, you give Aramaki haste, and then you activate its ability where you trash a card, what does it want to do? Bottom deck a 2 cost or less, and then it gets 3k power. So we're pushing it 8, 9, 10, 11. We're pushing this up to an 11k with haste right from the get-go. If you don't need the blocker, I would recommend doing that on your 10 Dawn turn. If you need a blocker at 8 Dawn, use this as a blocker. If at your 10 Dawn you need an attacker, use this as your attacker. That is really all I would recommend. And I'm running it at 2. I don't think I'm going to push it up to 3 or 4. I think running it at 2 is just fine. We have plenty of other blockers to pick up the slack. And again, this is my top end. I primarily try to use this as an attacker, as something to attack with. So if I can help it, I will. And then our last creature body is going to be our Edward Newgate, our Whitebeard. Now, this was one of the last cards I added to the deck where I was like, I don't know, the synergy doesn't seem to work. But honestly, I kind of wish I had 4. I'll be real with you. I wish I had 4 Whitebeards, because I saw somebody was really cooking with this. Somebody was like, you know what? Whitebeard's the way. Whitebeard's the way. Whitebeard's gonna protect Vivi. Whitebeard's gonna KO stuff on your opponent's field. This is the card. This is the GOAT in the deck. And I'm like, I don't know, man. you're kind of smoking. You want to put this with a more aggressive leader, but it's like, no. You can play this defensively. This is a defensive card while still keeping aggro. And I'm like, all right, I'll bite. I'll see. I got some Whitebeard. I'll test it out. And lo and behold, I think this is an MVP. These 4 cards, I believe, are your MVPs in the deck. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, I think these are the cards that are winning you games. If you can win a game, it's because of one of these 4, or one of these 2 cards, technically. They're gonna win you the game. I promise you. Wait, I'm gonna read Whitebeard right now, but just know that's my opinion. From what I've played, if I've won a game, it's because of one of these guys. So it's a 9 cost, 10k body, big boss monster, and its on play ability is up to one of your leaders gain 2k power. Let me make sure I read this correctly. Gain 2k power until the start of your next end turn. I'm starting to. I'm sorry, I'm reading too fast. My brain can't process the information. On play, up to one of your leaders gain 2k power until the start of your next turn. Then you cannot add life cards to your hand using your own effects during this turn. So the second part of that ability is just Whitebeard leader exclusive. We don't have to worry about that. The first part of the ability is what's relevant. And then you attach 2 Dawn when attacking KO to one of your opponent's characters with 3k power or less. That's what makes this synergize with the rest of the list. And then giving your Vivi plus 2k power until your next turn is great, because now all of a sudden, instead of being like a squishy 5k body, now you're burly, you're sturdy 7k body. And it's gonna be much harder for your opponent to dedicate resources to attacking you, because now instead of your opponent using their leader to attack in, now they have to use their big bodies to attack in to get actual damage through. Which, in reference, like, in order to hit Vivi when you play a Whitebeard, they need like an Aramaki or like something with 8k or more to swing into Vivi. Anything below 8k is not going to be worth it. 7k you can maybe get away with, but that's pretty easy to counter out of. So ideally, your opponent's going to commit a lot of time into swinging into Vivi for that turn. So usually this will buy you a turn if you need it. And then of course this becomes a body to start KOing things and swinging in at body, swinging in at life. This is what's going to get you the game. Honestly, I should consider bumping it up to 4, but you know, doing a two split is fine in the list. And now we're going to get into the events. We have a good chunk of events in this list. Honestly, if I could, I would probably run more counter events, just because I feel like Vivi really needs a counter event. But right now we're running 2 of the 0 costs, just because we don't have that many 0 counter cards. So I didn't feel the need to bump this up to 4 or 3. 2 is enough to where, you know, if you have a dead card in hand, you can dump it with this. So it's a 0 cost event. Counter, trash 1 card from your hand, give up to your leader, okay, up to one of your leaders or character gain 3k power during this turn. And then its trigger is give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 3k power during this turn. The trigger has actually been relevant for me. I've actually triggered this off of life just because it's protected me. It's played like a yellow card, triggering that, because you minus 3k their next attacker, you're pretty much good, you're fine. But yeah, this has saved me with the trigger. Obviously 0 cost events are always good to have. If you can fit them in the deck, I recommend running them. Our next one is probably arguably could be replaced with like you know what, I'm not gonna say it needs to replace. I say run it in the list. Run it over Radical Beam. Honestly, Happiness Punch, arguably a better card than Radical Beam. I know that's like maybe that's a controversial thing to say, but it's not. It's really not. It's an amazing card. Happiness Punch is so good. I would say it's on par with Guard Point. I feel like that's a hot take. That's a pretty hot take, but this card has actually done wonders for me. This card has worked its ass off for me, and I've been very happy with it in this list. So it's a 1 cost event. Counter, give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 2k power during this turn. Then if your leader is active, give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 1k power during this turn. So essentially you're getting a chance to split 3k minus 3k power amongst 2 creatures. So of course, because Vivi doesn't swing, Vivi is never tapped, which is the only reason why you don't run this over Guard Point. Guard Point is good in every other deck. This you can run in every deck, but not every leader wants to be untapped. So that's why you're not seeing this in more lists. But being able to minus 2 costs an attacker and then minus 1 cost the next attacker, or vice versa, you know, depending on how your opponent is trying to attack you, you can either minus 1 cost the attacker and then minus 2 cost the next thing, or vice versa. And honestly, this is another one of those cards where it just saves you. I really wish it had a trigger, or either it had a trigger or activate main, like a main / counter effect. That's my only critique of this card. It only does the one thing, but the one thing it does is great. And specifically with a leader that doesn't tap. Yep, here's our next card. So this one is kind of like a bit of a flex slot, but honestly, I think it was in the last list. Sanji's Peel-Off, a relatively old card, I think set 3. Yeah, set 3. My goodness. Honestly, still to this day, I still think Sanji's Peel-Off is a great card, because for 3 Dawn, you're just getting to draw 2 cards. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's something you normally want to do anyways. So obviously, and then the trigger is activate main effect. So if you trigger this off of life, oh, you're laughing to the bank. I love seeing this in my life, and it's actually tempted me to run it at 4, but honestly, the list is a little tight. The list, maybe I can tie in the list harder, but honestly, I really like the ratios I've had in this deck. And I don't know if I want to change the ratios that much. If anything, I might switch out. That's the thing, is I might want to switch out Ace for Gravity Blades. But even then, I think Ace is still arguably the better choice. But yeah, there's Sanji's Peel-Off. Sanji's Peel-Off, it just lets you draw 2 cards. And if you don't need the cards in your hand, you can discard it to Marco, so you can bring back your Marco from the dead. So great card, still pretty useful in the list. And then from the last list, from the last version of this deck, we have Gum Red Rock, 6 cost event. I'm running it at 4. So its main place up to one character at the bottom of its owner's deck. So just straight up the best type of removal. You're gonna bottom deck your opponent's creature. It doesn't matter the cost or the power or anything. And then the trigger is placed up to one character with a cost of 4 less to the bottom of its owner's deck. I think this trigger has become much more relevant in more recent time, because then you don't have to pay any Dawn to bottom deck maybe their next attacker or their problem child. Like usually, like if you trigger this off of a Kitten Killer, like that feels good. That's a great thing to do. But yeah, I mean, even for 6 Dawn, KOing anything on the field is still good. This is still like an evergreen card. I don't think this is ever gonna be like a bad card. And I mean, that's the list. And then of course, I'm just running the basic Dawns. Like these are just the vanilla Dawns. There's nothing special about these guys. There's Vivi. There's the updated Vivi list that I promised. I was a little mean, honestly. I'll be real. I'm a little mean to this leader. I'm very mean. I speak ill of the dead. Well, not well. As far as like meta relevance, the dead. But this leader is still fun. This is still a very fun leader to tinker with. Even when I came back to the list and I started to refamiliarize myself with it, I started getting that flame started to reignite in me to want to play the janky leader again. And I think this deck is solid. The actual list is solid. The leader could be rough to run, but I'll try it out. In fact, I've kind of already started messing with the list a little bit more. I'm trying to look at I'm looking at Zora list, and I'm looking at laws, red purple law list, to kind of like get a better idea what I want to do with this list. And of course, like I was talking about earlier, now I'm thinking about the Warlord system. I'm thinking about the 7 Warlords in this deck because, again, the 7 Warlords are good at flooding the board and good at recurring their dead characters. So I think that, you know, that alongside the Marcos could be a pretty formidable list. It could be a good list. I don't know. I haven't built those lists yet, but it's very fun to theory craft. I think that's the thing about Vivi. It's like, it's a deck you romanticize, right? It's something that, you know, you sit there and you think of all the possibilities you can do with these colors. Like, man, there's so many things you can do with red and with blue. It's like the possibilities are endless, but the leader is just like, really makes it rough. And the leader lets you draw cards, which is good. Like drawing cards wins you games. That is like that is one of the main laws of card games. Drawing cards, seeing more cards helps you win games. Like the more cards you see, the more likely you are to win the game. I think that is a universal law with card games. And having that baked into your leader is good. Like there's no downside to draw a card. Giving your character rush, that's just a bonus. That's a great bonus. It's just that, you know, it really just depends. It really depends on the cards you draw. I feel like this leader is very like tempo dependent, or at least the way I have it built right now, it's very tempo dependent. Like if you don't see the cards when you need them, then you're kind of just, you're on the back foot. Well, you start the game at a back foot. You start the game on the back foot. And then if you don't see the cards in your opening hand that you need, you're on an uphill battle the entire game. It's an uphill battle for you, and you're not gonna probably make it out alive, to be 1000% honest with you. Man, you know, Vivi's a fun leader to build. It's not a fun leader to pilot. But I really love, it's like an abusive relationship, right? You always come back to it. No matter how bad they treat you, you come back to them. Oh god, that's so bad. That's a terrible analogy. Vivi's fine. I like Vivi as a character. Vivi's a very good character. I'm glad we're seeing her in the story again. I'm glad that we're getting a little more backstory, like as far as like lineage wise, we're getting some of her backstory. Somewhat. We're, again, theory crafting. We're all just theorizing about this stuff, but we are very, no, we're not theorizing stuff. We know very specific things about her lineage. We're running off with the theories. It's like, ooh, what does this mean? What does that mean? What's this? What are the implications of this relationship between Vivi and character X? You know, it's very fun. I love so far what they're doing with Vivi in the One Piece story. A lot of things are open-ended. Oh, we also learned about what happened to Cobra. Rip Cobra, like, yeah, of course, Cobra. We already knew Cobra was dead. that's not much of a spoiler. Well, it's a spoiler if you're not reading One Piece, but if you're up to date with the manga and anime, you already know Cobra's dead. That's a given. We already know that stuff. But yeah. What else? I guess I can talk about the most recent chapters that came out for One Piece. Well, kinda. I can touch on them. I can discuss them to a certain extent. Let me see if this is like shuffled up enough. It could use a little more shuffling. Okay. But yeah, the last, man, you know, honestly, I think after this chapter we're on a break. But for real, man, these, oop. We good? Okay. I think we just had like a lag spike. Oh boy. Hang on. Okay, it looks like things are back in order. But yeah. There we go. All right. What was I gonna say? Man, my internet crashed for like half a second. I saw everything like drop and slow down on my end. But actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna boot up the simulator, because actually I just updated the simulator. And I did test it out. Simulator's working. As I suspected, the update actually worked. So I am gonna boot it up, switch over. So goodbye to the webcam. We'll miss ya. Bye. And then we're gonna switch this over to the simulator. Hold on, give it a second. There we go. Let me just make sure it's adjusted. And then I'm gonna move my little character if I can find him. There you are. I'm gonna move him over here, just in case we get any funny business. But let me go ahead and show you the deck that I'm currently running. Let me check also yeah, we're fine with the music. Music's doing good. There we go. And let me show you, I just updated the simulator, so I didn't like do any of my, I didn't import any of my decks over. Oh, let me quickly move me. I'm gonna come back here for a second, and we'll look at the list real quick. Like, this is what I'm running right now. This is the exact 50 that we just saw. And here's one of the Vivi decks I'm working on, which is it's kind of like a hybrid of what I have currently, and like I'm trying to think, like a Zora list that you may or may not see. I think it is pretty good. Obviously it has puddings. I feel like if you're in blue, pudding is a mandatory 2 of, at minimum a mandatory 2. Even if you never play it, it's just good to have as a security card. Obviously Shiraya. I think Shiraya, I should have bought Shiraya's. I think I should buy Shiraya's, because Shiraya just is a very flexible blocker, very similar to the Mr. 2 purple card. It's a very flexible blocker, technically a flexible attacker, but you don't want to attack with it, you just want to block with it. Obviously we have our Makinos. Makinos are primarily for buggies. Do I have the searcher? I thought I had the, no, I don't have a searcher in here. Okay, so it's primarily just for buggy. It's a 2k counter that will supercharge your buggy to let your buggy be an attacker. And this is a great card. This is it can't be KO'd by slash abilities or by slash characters, so it kind of protects itself. And then on pay, you look at the top 5, reveal 1 red event card and put it into your hand, and then put the rest of the bottom of your deck. Normally this is more, you will whiff. Most of the time you're gonna whiff with this, because you only have these 4 or these 8, so you're gonna whiff with this. Just accept the fact this is primarily just an attacker that you buff up with Makino. Again, Sanji, great, you know, sneak attack. Kid and Killer, just an amazing aggressive card in red that gets even more aggressive as the game continues. And everything else is basically the same. And this is just like me, this is me tinkering with it like over like a few hours. Like, I was messing with the deck, and then I'm like, you know, I want to give this a try and see how this works. It's not there yet. It's not there, but this one I think is fine. This list I think is okay. We'll try a few games and we'll see what happens. Back to lobby. And then now that we're gonna start games, I'm gonna quickly move my little guy over here and we'll start some games. So as a hold on, there we go. So obviously, as a precursor, I'm not an amazing One Piece player, and obviously I'm gonna be playing Vivi, so it's gonna be even harder. But we're gonna have fun. Honestly, we're just gonna see what the deck does. It's been a while since I played, so I just want to see kind of what the meta's looking like. Kind of get my feet wet again because I haven't been able to play the simulator in like a month since like I don't know. I had a bug with it where I just couldn't get matches, and hopefully that's not what's gonna happen today. We'll see though. I'm gonna be holding out hope. So we're just gonna wait to see if we get a game out of this. I'll give it a few shots. If not, oh, this doesn't look good. I just tested the simulator. Maybe it's the problem when I'm streaming. Maybe when I'm streaming, I'm having issues. Because I was testing the simulator off stream, like just before, like maybe an hour before we streamed. I was testing it out and I was able to get like 2 games out of it. And I was like, oh sweet, the game works. Let me go stream it now. And it does not look like it wants to work. Come on, come on. Yeah, this is exactly the problem I had last time I was trying to play. Last stream, this is exactly what the issue was. Pretty soon the opponent's gonna concede because for some reason we can't connect. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. Oh, this is annoying. This sucks. I really wanted to play. Maybe if I close the game, let me concede. Yeah, back to this. Let me close the game and boot it up again. Let me just close out of that, and then we'll give it like a fresh start. Going to here, and then here, and then just wait for it to start up. And then we'll see what happens. Bum, 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 bum. Do. There we go. It's just gonna be dead air for a little while. It's not a big deal. We'll kind of see what happens. So man, I was talking about something before my internet like kind of pooped on me. I was talking about Vivi in One Piece. You know what? I honestly completely lost track of what I was talking about. I was talking about chapters. I think I was talking about somewhat recent chapters. Oh, game. Hello. Let's see if anything happens. I'm just gonna stay here for a little bit and see what happens. See if anything actually does go through. Until then, I'm just gonna be putting my deck away while we wait for this to kind of sort itself out. It's a little disappointing because again, it was working this morning. It was literally working like an hour before we started stream. Oh, that sucks. I wonder what changed. Let's see. Load state tests. I'm trying to think. Maybe if we do unlimited. Let's see what happens in unlimited. I don't know if it's gonna, I mean, obviously, if we don't get a game, it doesn't matter what the rules are, because if the game doesn't work, the game doesn't work. Honestly, I think what the issue is, it has to be when I'm streaming. I think there's an issue when I'm streaming. Like, maybe there's not enough bandwidth to allocate to the servers. Like, my connection could be really bad for the game while I'm trying to stream. That seems to be probably the most likely thing. Because I was able to play, like, just before starting, like an hour before starting stream, I was able to get a few matches and I'm like, oh, finally, yes, the game works. I can finally play. I can actually do the thing I want to do. But yeah, this doesn't look like it's gonna go through. Oh. Bum, 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 bum. All right, we're just gonna wait for this to go through. We're gonna see what happens. I'm not very hopeful, honestly, because I've already dealt with this issue before, and yeah, I don't know what the bug is, honestly. I don't even know how to report this bug. I really do think it's just probably my bandwidth. I think my bandwidth is bad when I'm streaming, and that's probably what's causing this issue to happen. But I don't know. Actually, hang on. I'm gonna try one more thing. One last hurrah. No. Okay, I don't think that's gonna work. Let me see if running it as administrator will help. Maybe that'll do something. I don't know. I'm just, you know, spitballing stuff now. Honestly, that's all I'm doing now. I'm just trying to spitball things. Quick join. Let's just see what happens. Because that's the only thing I haven't done yet is run the game as administrator. I think that's like the last thing I can do for on-stream testing. So yeah, what can I talk about while we're waiting for this? Because also I think I just don't have the patience to wait for this to buffer out. Trying to think. Oh, I you know what? I just remember what I was talking about. The last 3 chapters of One Piece. The last 3 chapters. Oh my goodness. It's a lot of exposition. We're getting a lot of backstory. We're like, when Oda's writers said that they were in the final saga of One Piece, they were not lying. They weren't kidding. We're getting backstory that we've been asking for, or backstory we were like theorizing for years. Stuff we were talking about for a while now. Now we're getting confirmation on a lot of stuff. We're understanding the world in a way we didn't think we were gonna actually learn about. Because honestly, a lot of people kind of came to the conclusion with One Piece is that, you know, it's a story focused on Luffy's adventure. We're not gonna learn everything about the world, and a lot of people kind of came to that you know, solace of like, you know what, we're just gonna focus on Luffy's story. That's probably all that's gonna happen. All this extra stuff in the background, it's just background noise. That's just what's happening. The story's really about Luffy and his adventures as a pirate, becoming Pirate King. And I mean, honestly, I think Oda's doing an amazing job, not only giving us Luffy's story, but also giving us the whole pie, like the whole cake. We're literally like, he's giving us all the little intricacies of how the world works, all the little, like, you know, why things are the way they are. And I'm such a big fan of it, man. But yeah, the last 3 chapters have all kind of felt the same, where we get a bunch of expedition, like we get a whole bunch of like, we get knowledge dumped on for the past 3 chapters, and then we see everyone's reactions to the knowledge, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a lot to read. But we're still getting some really cool scenes. We're there's a lot of cool stuff still happening in the manga. In between the info dumps, we're getting a lot of good, like, page covers. I'll say that much. Without spoiling anything. What else can we talk about? I'm trying to think about. I think I'll talk about, maybe if this doesn't work out. I don't think this is gonna work out, so we're just gonna back out. That's fine. Let me show you some of the things I want to do with the Vivi deck. So we already know that this is the default list. This list for me works really well. I really don't have a lot of critiques. However, I do want to maybe throw in a couple of these chopper blockers in there. Let me move myself, because like, obviously I'm in the way. There we go. We didn't get fights. We didn't get any battles. Unfortunate, but you know, we can still do some other stuff. We can look at some cards. It's not the end of the world. We have Tony Chopper, great blocker. When attacking, give one of your opponents minus 3k power. That's exactly what this deck wants to do. However, as far as what I want to cut for it, probably just cut the X-Drakes for these guys. Cut the X-Drake, cut the Sanji's peel off, add in a full play set. But then that's probably, is that going to be too many blockers? Not really. No, not really, because this is not really much of a blocker. It's like an emergency blocker. Aramaki is an emergency blocker, so maybe we can throw in the choppers. I don't think that's a bad idea. Obviously there's things like Gordon's, not this Gordon, we're talking about the more expensive Gordon. Kid and Killer is a good card, literally no reason not to run it. Let me see, your leader, no, we can't use this. Yeah, this would be good if it wasn't leader locked, which it won't be in the future because we're going to switch to Marco. This character can't be KO'd by effects. This is basically just the next evolution of Marco, where now you're gonna protect, you're getting an even bigger body that is more resistant to getting KO'd. So this is a really good thing. Plus it has a 1k counter. Could be good in the list. I think it'll require some testing. Let's look through some of the other stuff. Obviously, characters that have Rush initially, I think are just gonna be good because then you don't have to invest any more Dawn. Vista, I think Vista could be potentially good in the list. Honestly, probably better than Chaka just because it has a 1k counter, but it's a 3k body. You're not going to be doing much with this, and it's an on play ability. I don't know. I think Vista's good, but it's not going to be for this list. Let's see. I'm just going to be looking at stuff now. We're looking at stuff. I've messed with the Thatch combo, the Thatch and Teach combo. It's a little too fancy for the deck, you know. Trying to get Thatch and Teach out relatively at the same time while still giving them both haste. It's a lot of Dawn. Let's see. Really what we want to do is look at some of the newer stuff. Some of these Revolutionary Army cards are actually starting to be good. I really like this Nami, or this Robin. I really like this Robin a lot. Not only because I think the art is 10 out of 10. I'm in love. My God, Oda cooked so hard when they did this time skip thing. When they did the Robin arc, oh God, have mercy on my soul. God, oh my goodness, the anime, beautiful. They were cooking a delicious dish when they animated this woman in the prison suit. My God, fucking queen, dude, literally I would die for her. Shanks KOs. It's gonna KO your opponent's body. Whatever they did last turn, you're gonna KO it, and then you got a 12k body. Definitely bigger than Newgate, so it has potential. It got some legs here. And then obviously I want to add the Shirayas at some point. The Shirayas are good. I don't know if they're better than the blocker chopper. Raise Max, I think actually I might end up putting some Raise Max in here because it bottom decks itself. And also minus 3Ks. This is basically just a complementary piece to Otama. It's not better than Otama because Otama is a 2k counter. Raise Max has no counter. This card is so bad. But I do like the fact that it can minus 3k things. So still good to have. It's pretty cheap. I would definitely consider running this. Ooh, I really like this card. I really want this one. Baraka or Barak. I'm gonna call it Baraka. Whatever. She's from the film Gold. Back Car Bat. It's a very strange name to say. I'm gonna wait until I hear someone pronounce that name before I try reading it again. But she's a blocker, and then on your opponent's attack once per turn, you may trash one card from your hand and give up to one of your leaders or characters 2k power during this battle. This blocker is going to turn your 0 cost cards like Edward Newgate and Raise Max into a 2k counter. So this alongside this card, you're getting like a better Gordon, you're getting a better Otama with just these two, with just Raise Max and this lovely lady. So this is definitely worth looking into. This is coming out pretty soon. This is coming out in the next set. I highly recommend getting a playset if you are in red, or if you like the strategy. And then we're getting a Dragon. Dragon is a rush. Give your leader or up to one of your characters 2 Estadon. it's not going to work in this list, but it's good for more aggressive lists. And then what we've been seeing a lot of, we've been seeing with some of the Opio 8, I believe, Opio 8 list. We've been seeing a lot of like Animal Kingdom stuff show up, or yeah, animals, Drum Kingdom, Straw Hats, animals. So what does this card do? Why is it so good? Your turn on play / when attacking, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal, and from among them play up to 1 animal type character card with the power of 4k or less as rested. Then place the rest of the cards at the bottom of your deck. Okay, so this tutors. Ooh, So this is like a Sentamaru. Where'd you go? There you are. So the Chopper is like Sentamaru essentially, but it's more consistent and less dot intensive. I like this. There could be some fun strategies there. Give up to 1 of your animal type characters other than this character 1k power during this turn. That's a 2k counter. Super relevant. I'm trying to see, like, I know this is a searcher for Tony for choppers. Rest this card. If your leader is Chopper, give all your Tony Chopper characters 2k power during this turn. Ooh, I'm starting to understand why the Zoro deck is coming back from the dead. Choose 2 of your opponent's characters until the end of turn. Your next turn, give 1 character minus 3k power and the other minus 2k. Oh, this is such a ooh. Okay, Rayleigh, you are like a better version of where'd it go? Of Ace. Much better version of Ace. Wow, this is good. KO 1 of your opponent's characters with the power of 3k or less. Wow, this is good. Okay, I'm starting to understand. I understand it. Here's a Gordon. I don't buy Gordons. They're like 50 or 60 bucks right now. They're not worth that much money. Just run Raise Max. Honestly, just run this guy. There's no reason to run Gordon. It's a terrible card. Definitely terrible for the price. If it was 10 bucks, I would recommend it. Chopper blockers are fine. Oh, here we go. I thought about running the Red Hawks just because it also KOs some low cost bodies. I think that's somewhat relevant, especially when you start playing your Marcos and your aces. Sometimes you can't KO them, but well, no, I wish this was a main effect. It's a counter effect. It's okay. I think round table, I think I will actually think about adding it to the list. I don't know what I want to cut for round table. It's gonna be tough to think. What do I want to cut for round table? That's a hard one. That's actually a hard one to think about. I'll have to just kind of stew on that for a little while because round table is actually pretty good. I'm just looking at some other stuff. Fire Fist, I thought about running this. I've actually ran this in the deck before. Give 1 of your opponents minus 4k power, then if you have 2 or less life, KO one of your opponent's characters with 0 power or less. Pretty good. I think this is probably like a good middle ground between round table and Red Hawk. So there's some potential there. I'm just like scanning through some of the cards. I've seen this a lot. Rest this card, place up to 1 character with the original power of 1k on the bottom of its deck, draw a card. Okay, you may rest this card and place 1 of your character cards with an original power of 1000 on the bottom of your deck, draw a card. So this is just a draw card. Could be good with like your Otamas and your Raise Max. Well, no, with Raise Max, you want to use its ability to bottom deck itself. So that's fine. It's a good card. I think I'm seeing it show up in lists. Obviously, Jet Pistol, oldie but goodie. Just doing like some last minute things. Now we're moving over to the blue cards. This is like this is where the sauce is. I think with the Chopper and Sentamaru engine, you got a pretty powerful deck there. A deck that could potentially play a bunch of free bodies, which is pretty important. Obviously, I want to play puddings in the list. Also, Gions. I think Gions could also be great in the list if I can get Gions in the list. But really what I'm looking at is I'm looking at these Warlords, honestly. Play out with 7 of Warlord, 7 Warlord card from your hand, 4 cost or less. Tutor, 2k counter. This plays your Edward Weevils. This is just a good 6k body. Just checking some stuff out. Let's see. Man, I wish this Jinbei was cheaper. It's pretty good. Place up to one character with the cost of 3 lists to the bottom of its owner's deck. That's just for a 4 cost 5k body, 1k counter, bottom deck of 3 cost. You can't beat that. That's good. That's just straight up good. If they're cheap, get them. Geico Mario, this is the reason why I want to put the Warlord system into the deck, just because this can pull cards 4 costs out of your graveyard, put them back in your hand. Obviously that works great for Mihawk. Mihawk is a 4 cost. That's a 2k counter that, you know, if you play it to the field, then it dies, then you bring it back to your hand as a 2k counter, or vice versa. Tomorrow, I think it's still pretty good, especially if you're gonna combo this with Chopper. I think there's potential there. And then obviously you're playing Pacifistas with that. And now we're just at the events. The events, yeah, I feel like we kind of already know. I'm trying to think what is hanging out here. That's basically it. Okay, so we've kind of looked at every single card. I've theory crafted a lot with this deck. I really like Vivi a lot. I think there's hope for Vivi in the future. Maybe not the future, but there is hope. As long as people want to play jank, Vivi will have a home. And for better or worse, I will continue to run this leader until Marco comes out. And then I'm going to try Marco out for a little bit, but I might just come back to Vivi because Vivi's a very fun jank deck to play with. And I would have it no other way. So thank you guys. I think that's just going to wrap things up. You know, it's very unfortunate that we couldn't get any games in. I'm a little disappointed because I got some games in earlier. And I honestly, I should have just streamed. I should have just started streaming when we had the chance to. When I had the chance to. When I had the simulator work, I'm like, oh, ooh, it's working. Now I can stream. I should have just started there. But that's fine. You know, we can't protect these things. You know, we can't anticipate problems ahead of time. So we do what we can. We make do. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope you like the deck. I'm not expecting greatness with this deck, you know. I've actually just been playing mostly Rosinante. I'll be real with you. I haven't touched Vivi in a very long time. Today was the only day I've touched Vivi in like the past 2 to 3 months, I think. And I had fun with it, but ultimately I think I'm gonna go back to like Rosinante, go back to Yamato, kind of play leaders that I'm more comfortable with, that I actually like have, you know, a competent game with. Because Vivi's fun, but Vivi also just, it's an uphill battle the entire time. You will very rarely win a game. In fact, every game you win is like a mini victory. It's like you won the championship. That's what it feels like when you win with Vivi. It feels like you've just won the world championship and you got like a $10 million prize. That's what it feels like to win. It's happened a handful of times. I've managed to win like maybe like two games throughout the life of the deck. And I felt good. Those are good games to win. I felt awesome winning those games. But yeah, I think next week, what are we gonna do next week? I think next week, I kind of want to play a new game, I think. I'll let you know what it is. I think I want to play Timberborn. Let me look at it on Steam. How much is Timberborn? Oh, it's like 25 bucks. But I like Timberborn. I've been watching videos on it. And honestly, it's pretty fun. It's fun to watch. I don't know how fun it is to play, but I think this is like this could be a fun streaming game. It could be a fun streaming game. I don't know. I like watching it. I don't know if playing it is going to be different. Also, I have to update my wish list. There's a lot of old games that I'm definitely not going to buy still on this wish list. But if I don't end up getting Timberborn, I think I'm gonna get maybe To the Core. To the Core is pretty fun. It's like $8. That's not bad. What is Synergy? Synergy is a city builder, it looks like. I don't think I'm gonna play Synergy. Hungry Fly's not out. Spilled is not out. Demon Lord Reincarnation. Oh, well, that's like a dungeon crawler. A difficult game about climbing. Man, that game petered out real quick. As soon as like, what was it called? The syphilis game. The boulder one. Man, everyone just dropped the climbing game and just went over to the boulder game. It's just, you know, it's the game of the season. You know, it's just the new kid on the block. It's very much the trendy games. I like to play games that have like some longevity into them and that aren't just designed to make me angry. God, I hate rage games. because the thing is like I don't rage at games. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. I don't like playing rage games because when I play them, I just get sad. I get really depressed because it's like, man, I'm not making progress. I feel like shit. This game is too hard. I don't feel like I'm doing anything. But I don't know. I'll maybe in the future, if I actually get an audience, I'll actually consider playing some rage games. Like I'll play catch up. I'll be like, ooh, let's play. Oh gosh, what was the one where you're climbing with a hammer, and then we can do the climbing game, and then we can do the syphilis game, and then we can do like some other ragey games, and bang the table and start screaming curse words at the screen because the game can totally hear us. But yeah, those are the plans. I might play something new next week. Otherwise, I'll probably go back to the old reliables. And yeah, that'll be it for today. Thank you. It's a relatively short stream. You know, I was anticipating a shorter stream just because a lot of the cards in the Vivi list are cards we talked about in the past. The only new stuff is the Whitebeard stuff, and then I was hoping to fill up the dead space, like the next hour, with like two games at least, but that didn't end up working out. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and love you and leave you here, guys, and thank you for hanging out with me, whether you're watching live or watching the VOD. I appreciate your time you spent with me. I hope you come back, and until next time, goodbye.